The NFL Draft is a season of hope for rookies, but for the veterans inside the Los Angeles Rams locker room, it often feels like a ticking clock. We all remember the grit shown during our recent playoff runs, yet the front office never stops looking for the next upgrade to keep us on top. This weekend's selections have sent a clear message to several familiar faces. Before we dive into who might be packing their bags, make sure to subscribe and join our loyal Rams community right now this very moment. Stetson Bennett finds himself in a very difficult position as the Los Angeles Rams move forward with a new vision for the quarterback room. When we brought him in back in 2023, the hope was that he would become a reliable long-term backup who could stabilize the position behind our starters. However, things have changed quickly inside the building. The team just used a draft pick on Ty Simpson, a move that signals a massive shift in how the coaching staff views the depth chart. It is no secret that our quarterback room has been a point of discussion lately, especially with Jimmy Garoppolo already serving as the veteran presence ahead of the younger guys. By adding Simpson to the mix, the front office is essentially admitting that the original plan for the former Georgia standout might not be working out as intended. It is a tough pill to swallow for fans who wanted to see him succeed here. But he is not the only veteran whose roster spot is currently in serious jeopardy after this draft cycle. We also have to look at Kanata Mumpfield, who stepped up during some big moments but struggled with efficiency and dropped passes during critical games like the NFC Championship. To address those concerns, the Rams drafted C.J. Daniels in the 6th round. Daniels brings a much stronger hands and a physical presence at the catch point that Mumpfield simply lacked. Then there is the defensive line situation involving Ty Hamilton. Last year, the team actually traded a future 4th-round pick to get him, but he struggled to hold his ground against the run and did not see the field much. In response, the Rams used their final pick on Tim Keenan-Thurton, a massive run stopper who many insiders believe was a total steal in the late rounds. Keenan provides the exact strength and gap discipline that Hamilton failed to provide last season. When you look at the total picture, it becomes very clear that the Rams are moving on from experiments that didn't yield results. The front office is prioritizing players like Ty Simpson and Tim Keenan-Thurton because they offer a higher ceiling and more reliability for a team that is built to win right now this year. The decision to move on from a developmental project at the quarterback position is never an easy one for a franchise. When the Rams first targeted this specific passer, they were looking for a high-floor player who had experience winning on the biggest stages of college football. They wanted someone who could step in without the coaches having to worry about the offense stalling if the starter went down. Unfortunately, the transition to the professional level has been anything but smooth for this young man. He has faced some real hurdles both in terms of his performance during the preseason and his availability for the team at times. As an insider, I can tell you that the coaching staff values consistency above almost everything else. While he showed flashes of that playmaking ability that made him a star in college, those moments were often followed by mistakes or periods of stagnation. This inconsistency is likely what led management to look toward the draft once again to find a more permanent solution. By bringing in a new prospect with a high pedigree, the organization is effectively resetting the clock at the backup position. This move moves the needle because it creates a much more competitive environment in the meeting rooms and on the practice field. We have to consider the what-if scenarios that come with such a high-stakes decision. If the new rookie can quickly grasp the playbook and show he can lead the second-string offense with authority, it leaves very little room for the previous 4th-round pick to keep his spot. The locker room noticed these things, and players understand that performance is the only currency that matters in this league. It is a harsh reality for a guy who many of us hoped would be the next great success story in Los Angeles. However, the Rams are in a window where they cannot afford to have a question mark at the most important position on the field. They need a bridge to the future, and right now, the signs point toward the team finding that bridge in someone other than the player they drafted 3 years ago. This is the reality. When we talk about these roster changes, the ultimate goal is simple. The Los Angeles Rams want to win more games and avoid the mistakes that cost them in the playoffs. If the team keeps players who aren't performing well, they risk losing games that should be easy wins. For example, having a wide receiver who drops the ball in a big game can end a season. That is exactly why they brought in a stronger player to replace someone who struggled to catch the ball. It is the same thing on the defensive line. If a player gets pushed around and can't stop the run, the other team will just keep running the ball until our defense is tired out. By replacing a struggling veteran with a stronger rookie, the Rams are making sure they don't get bullied on the field anymore. This matters because it directly impacts whether we see another deep playoff run or a disappointing early exit. The stakes are incredibly high for every person on that roster right now. If the backup quarterback isn't ready to play, one injury to the starter could ruin the entire year for the fans and the players. The team cannot afford to take that risk anymore, especially when they feel they have a roster that can compete for a championship. Every move made in this draft was about making the team tougher and more reliable in the fourth quarter. It is about having guys who can make the tough catch, make the big tackle, or lead a drive when the pressure is at its highest point. For the fans who have followed this team through the highs and the lows, these changes might feel a bit cold, but they are necessary for the health of the franchise. We want to see a team that is disciplined and physically dominant on both sides of the ball. If these new rookies can provide that, then the Rams will be in a much better position to win the division and make noise in the postseason. It all comes down to results on the grass. Go Rams! Imagine a scenario where the Rams are in the heat of a division race, and the starting quarterback has to miss a few plays. If the new rookie steps in and looks like a seasoned veteran, the fans will breathe a sigh of relief. The season stays on track, and the momentum continues to build toward the playoffs. This is the best-case scenario that the coaching staff is dreaming about right now. They want to know that the season isn't over if one thing goes wrong, but there is also a much darker path that we have to consider. If the rookies struggle to adjust to the speed of the NFL, the Rams could find themselves with a massive hole in their depth chart. If the players they moved on from were actually better than the new guys, it could lead to a disastrous collapse. We have seen teams make these kinds of mistakes before, where they get rid of a veteran too soon only to realize they don't have a better option. The tension inside the training facility will be through the roof this summer. Every practice rep and every preseason snap will be scrutinized by the coaches and the media. If the new wide receiver keeps catching everything in sight, the decision to let the old veteran go will look like a stroke of genius. But if he starts dropping balls in the preseason, the fans will start to question if the front office made a huge mistake. The same goes for the defensive line. If the new run stopper gets moved off the ball, our defense will be vulnerable all year long. This is the gamble that the Rams are taking to try and get back to the Super Bowl. They are choosing potential and talent over familiar faces that haven't quite lived up to the hype. It is a high-stakes game of poker, and the chips are all in the middle of the table. If it works, we will be celebrating another trophy. If it fails, we will be looking back at this draft as the moment the season was lost. Success is near. The Los Angeles Rams have made it clear that no one's job is safe if they aren't producing results. We are seeing a complete overhaul of the depth chart as the team looks to fix the mistakes of the past. It is hard to watch guys we like potentially lose their spots, but this is the nature of a winning organization. The focus is now on the future and ensuring that the roster is as strong as possible from top to bottom. Be honest with me as a fan who has seen it all. Would you rather stick with a veteran who has struggled but knows the system, or would you prefer to take a chance on a talented rookie who might have a much higher ceiling? It is a tough question that every Rams fan is asking right now. I want to hear your thoughts on this situation in the comments below. Do you think the team is making the right move by moving on from these three players? Make sure you hit that like button if you love the Rams and subscribe to the channel so you never miss an update. Don't forget to turn on notifications to stay always informed on everything happening now in Los Angeles. Peace.